boy Goozy here with Young E and Young Philanthropist. And this is the Couch Sports Talk podcast.
You can't do that. You can't do that. What's going on?
I need water. Help me. I need water. Help.
Welcome back, everybody. We got to pick up doing the episodes. We've been slacking a little bit, but welcome back, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just another day, living the dream. Oh, and happy late National Tight Ends Day to George Kittle and all the other tight ends out there.
There we go. I
You're
like
appreciated.
that. What about you, Young E?
Just coming off a bye week, got my rest in, got to have a full National Tight End Day celebration for Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. Well deserved. But yeah, getting that rest in on the bye week and ready to come off and beat this last undefeated team in the NFL.
So, Ethan, are you injury-free
about.
after the bye week?
I would say close to, if not yes. And
Okay.
then you have the addition of Yannick as well.
Okay. So team morale's at a high right now. I know they've been talking to you a lot.
It's a good spot. We're in a good spot.
Okay.
What about your legs? Are you ready for the second half of the season?
Man, Mark Ingram went down. There's talks of me becoming a
Gonna step
player
it up?
coach on the practice squad, stepping up, getting my role. But right now, they just have me as like a back-end social media guy.
What's going on?
All right, I fuck with that. Before we get into the details of NFL Week 7, and before we even get into our first topic, how are you guys feeling 1 out of 10 with the NFL season so far?
I'm going to give it a light 6.
A light 6.
Light 6. Yeah. COVID's just been asked. Too many injuries, too much COVID, not enough planning.
Yeah, a lot of COVID is really bad. I agree.
We had a good start fantasy-wise, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit. So, it is what it is. We're going to finish it out, but yeah, light 6.
What about you, Young E?
I'm saying a high 8. I've been really just enjoying being able to watch football, having something on the TV, looking forward to a game every Sunday. Always a good thing to have football around. The COVID shit has been asked, but it's not been as bad as it could have been, I think. The Titans were the only really bad one so far, to where we've had to cancel a game. So I think it's been cheeks, yes, but they're keeping it somewhat under control. So I think they're doing a good job for what they're having to work with everyone traveling, going through airports and bus rides and this and that. But I know at the beginning of the season, when they had that outbreak, it came out that the bus driver was the same bus driver who drove the Houston Astros. That's not okay. MLB and NFL, you got to get that shit figured out. That's not okay. But overall, high 8. It's been, the injuries have sucked. COVID has sucked. But it's just nice to have football on and something to look forward to every week, and playing fantasy and kicking everybody's ass and being in first place, and then, tragically falling this week due to Tyler Lockett's 47.5 points. Good season. And also, Tyler Lockett scored 47.5 against me. Cam Newton got me 2.
Yep, he had a terrible game. We'll get to that most definitely. Looking at listening to both of you talk, we see a very clear contrast here. It looks like someone's half cup. The cup is half full, one is half empty, and that's okay. That's why we make a good team here. I'm kind of smack dab in the middle with it. My team, I think, could play a little bit better sometimes, but it is fun seeing the Patriots take a little step back. Hopefully, they're not going to go on a big run, which could very much happen. And I think the NFL's handled COVID very poorly, but the same time, I think I do agree with Youngie. It could have been a little bit worse, but it's good. It's exciting season so far. I wish a lot of the injuries didn't happen. I would love to see the Niners be full strength in that NFC West. That's already crazy enough. You know, that would have gave us some really entertaining football. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead, jump right into our first topic of the day, and that is we haven't done a show since the Los Angeles Lakers actually won the finals, and LeBron James with his fourth NBA championship and fourth Finals MVP, man, balled out along with Anthony Davis, and you know the supporting cast there did a great job. Philanthropist, you're a big basketball guy. What did you see out of the Lakers that really impressed you in this playoff run in the bubble? And do you think they have a really good shot of repeating it again next year?
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, you know, they just, throughout the playoffs, they were very steady. They never really got away from their game. Their role players were hit and miss, but when someone didn't step up, someone else did, and that's really huge on a championship team. Overall, I think as long as LeBron and Anthony Davis are healthy and they're still playing at that high level, I don't see why they can't repeat. I mean, there's no super teams anymore, so really it's anybody's game. And it comes down to, you know, who has the best players or who has the best duo, and, you know, by far it's them. I think as far as the series goes, you know, the Heat put up a good fight, but there was just no chance. Like, even if they were healthy, I didn't really think there was a chance. You can't rely on Duncan Robinson giving you 30 to win a series. It's not going to happen.
Old Jimmy Neutron looking ass.
Yeah, they did call him Jimmy Neutron. That's a good one. I'm gonna give it to him. But yeah, you know, the Heat, really good team, really great story. They had a fantastic run. I know Ethan was, you know, on that early. He called that. So they did a great job. But you know, I feel like it was almost predestined. This was just the Lakers' year from the start. With you know, obviously what happened with Kobe, tragic, but just with them rallying around that and having two really great leaders in LeBron and AD and being able to navigate that. We talked a lot about the bubble. Teams that had really good veteran leadership are going to have a huge leg up. And we saw what happened in the bubble. Like, players really, it took a toll on their mental health. I mean, to us, it might not seem different than what we do every day, just staying in the house. But, you know, these players are used to doing whatever they want, whenever they want. And to have to go to the bubble, you know, you heard Paul George talk about it really took a toll on his mental health. There's been a lot of reports that many of the players were just upset and they wanted to leave and they didn't really want to be there, which, I mean, it didn't report who said that, but I'm going to guess some of these teams like the Sixers, the Bucks that played very poorly or below expectations, that's probably where that came from.
Rockets
is another one, yeah. All these teams that, like, all of a sudden, you know, like the Pacers, they were a great team all year, then they got swept, you know? I'm trying to connect the dots and see, like, you know, some of these guys just, they didn't have it. So teams like the Lakers, who have, I don't know, I think it's something like 6 or 7 champions before this series, you know, really seasoned veterans, great leadership, and honestly, a great coach in Frank Vogel, which I think he's one of the under talked about stories, is how good Frank Vogel has been. I even heard it reported that from Brian Windhorst, he said that there was one point where they were doing a film session with Frank Vogel, and, you know, LeBron, we all know the stories of him being very tepid with coaches, not being very friendly. Apparently, during the Portland series, Frank Vogel was giving them a scouting report that was so good that LeBron James, like, literally clapped it up in the film session. It was like, man, that's a hell of a scouting job. And I'm like, yo, I've never heard a story of LeBron doing that for any coach ever. So, I mean, they're a great team. It was a great story. You know, for LeBron, 4th ring, that's huge. The GOAT discussion is going to continue going on. At this point, you know, I think it's really going to come down to preference between him and Michael Jordan. For me personally, in my opinion, they should just be the two that are talked about, whether it's 1A, 1B, however you want to rank them. There's going to be 2 different arguments to be made there. And we'll see what he can do with the rest of his career, but I think it's very likely that this was probably his last one. Yeah, I know what you feel, Ethan.
So that's part of the second part of the question is, do you think they can do it next year?
Yes, they can. You know, but it's definitely not a sure thing. Like, with this current NBA landscape, like, it's just as likely to me that they win the championship again.
My apologies.
I
couldn't hear what you said.
Siri had an opinion, sorry. But no, I was going to say that it's just as likely to me that they win it again as them not even making the conference finals. just because there's so much going on now. And really, like, the Warriors are coming back. They're going to have Clay and Steph and Draymond and Wiggins and the second draft pick. So, it's anybody's game. But if LeBron, that's the big question. He's getting old, like legitimately old. And if he's really going to be at that same level, then yeah, why not? It's LeBron. If he's still playing at this level, nothing in the world's going to stop him if he has a guy like Anthony Davis. And I also anticipate that after a championship, you're going to see a lot of these role players have career seasons. We saw that with the Raptors last year, where guys like Van Fleet, Norman Powell came out this year during the regular season and were just fantastic because they learned something along the way. They just got better. So guys like KCP, maybe even a guy like Kuzma, I really think they're going to come out and have great years next year. Although Kuzma was shit in the finals. Pardon my French. I'm not a Kuzma fan at all.
I would love to see a Dwight Howard reemergence, him coming a top center in the league again.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, he was great this year. He gets a lot. He takes a lot of shit, but this year he came in. He was, in my opinion, legitimately the fourth or the fifth best guy on the team this year. Like, just by his job.
He did his job, and he 100%. Played with something that Young E loves: heart.
He did.
I was upset at Shaq for hating on him.
Yeah.
Fuck Shaq for that. That was some
Shaq's
shit.
a hater. Shaq's definitely a hater.
Shaq's got to chill.
Yeah,
Get over your hurt feelings.
Speaking of Shaq, he is a former Heat player. Young E, you were one of the biggest Heat fans here, probably in California, right? All the way on the other side of the country. They did a fantastic job, and like we just talked about, they had something called heart, and it took them all the way there. They were so determined to be in that position and get that chip. Unfortunately, didn't get there, but what did you see that really impressed you coming out of the Heat?
Just contribution from everybody on the team, 1 through 9. I mean, it was almost throughout the playoffs, it was almost on a nightly basis. 1 through 9 was putting up 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Like, it was ridiculous. And they have a really deep lineup, and I think the guys meshed well together. And I think, they just made that run, and I think it was improbable to most people, but I think just seeing the way they were meshing after that first round, I kind of, picked up. They looked like they were going to carry a little bit of swagger with them through the rounds, and they did all the way to the playoffs. And they fought hard, but it's hard to beat that Lakers team with AD and LeBron, especially with LeBron playing the way he is. And kind of wanted to touch on that question you asked Phil about if you think they can repeat. And I definitely think they do, but I think Phil made a good point with the Warriors, and I think that's their biggest competition out of anybody in the NBA, unless miraculously next season Giannis joins the Heat. But I know people have been drawing that up and dreaming their dreams, but I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think so. We're not. I think we're going to be good off of super teams for a minute, but the thing that scares me is this Warriors team could be a super team, and we don't know it because we don't know. I don't know how Steph and Clay are going to return, but if they return 100%, if Wiggins reaches that potential that has never been tapped into by Minnesota franchise, which you're right, he won't, but
he'll be decent though. He'll be like Harrison Barnes.
And then they have a top pick, and then you still have Draymond, who, I'm not a big Draymond fan, but he can play defense. He can make threes maybe 30% of the time, maybe 20% of the time, but it's still okay.
Back ass jump shot.
But he can play defense, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. And he's a loud mouth, so when they go up against the Clippers, he can get Pat Bev to shut the fuck up, and then they can run through the Clippers. Because I think
Paul George's feelings.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think if the Clippers see the Warriors before they see the Lakers in the playoffs, they're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
That's a team that will wax the fuck out of them.
Broomsticks.
Going off of that, we can go real quickly before we get into NFL. What moves would you like to see happen this offseason? philanthropist for the NBA.
Get Bradley Beal to a contender. Bradley Beal is probably the most underrated player in the NBA because he plays for Washington. To be frank, he passed John Wall before John Wall even got hurt in terms of being the best player on the Wizards. Yeah, he's really, really good. Like he's like the Klay Thompson mold. And really, like for me, him and Klay, in terms of the way they play, their production are neck and neck to me. It's just that Klay obviously has 3 championships, so he's held in a higher regard, which is fair. And I want to see Bradley Beal do that in the playoff series. But he's on the block. It's going to be a lot of contenders lining up to suit up and see who can get him. There's no one in free agency this year. It's one of the worst.
Can you please tell Laker Nation that Kyle Kuzma is not enough for Bradley Beal?
Laker Nation, I want you to listen to me. Kyle Kuzma is not a trade asset. I know y'all play 2K. 2K, they give you little stars. I'm telling you right now, in NBA GMs, they look at Kyle Kuzma as a half-star asset, like a vet minimum guy. Okay, I don't care what numbers he puts up. The dude LeBron makes it very clear with his body language who is good and who is ass. Watch LeBron when he's playing with Kyle Kuzma, bro. He is so mad. He gets so angry with him and all the dumbass shit that he does. Okay, you're not getting Bradley Beal for Kyle Kuzma. I'm sorry, it's not happening. But anyway, side tangent, the offseason, like to see Bradley Beal go somewhere. Other than that, man, I just want to watch the draft and see what the Warriors do with that second pick. The last time a contender had a draft pick that high was the Pistons when they took Darko Milicic. It was horrible. And what was worse is that they had just won the title that year, and they could have got Carmelo or Chris Bosh or D Wade and added that to their already championship team.
That would have been dynasty.
Yeah, they would have been a dynasty for sure. And Melo would have had a ring, all those what ifs. But the Warriors, they have a really good talent evaluation department, but it just so happens this is not a good draft. So we'll have to see what happens, but it's going to be
the league might be fortunate that it's not a good draft.
Yes, probably. I'm still mad that the Warriors got D'Angelo Russell and then Andrew Wiggins off of KD leaving. That really made me so upset that they were able to spin that way. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Young E, what about you? What move would you like to see happen? I want to know if the Heat are involved in this.
I agree with Phil. I would love to see Beal out of there. I would love to see John Wall somewhere else too. Both of those guys need to get out of there and play somewhere else for somebody that's decent. And the thing is I think they could go be a 3 on their team, and maybe Beal would make it a super team if he was a 3, but I don't know if John Wall would necessarily make it a super team if he was a 3. I think John Wall now at this point is going to fill more of a Kemba role where he just plays his role. He's going to put up 20 points a game and give you 8 assists, but that's all he's going to do really. But the move I really want to see, if I could pick any, and I'm also really interested to see this draft because I know a lot of people are saying it's shit. I read the other day that there's a decent amount of international prospects who I know are frequently overlooked. So I'm curious to see if we get some like later picked international products that pan out and are good. So that'll be fun to watch. But number one, I think Dragic is an unrestricted free agent. He might be on his way out. I would love to see the Heat go and get my boy out of Indiana. Get that boy Victor. Get him out.
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And what's interesting about the Heat is, I don't know if I would trade I don't know if I would trade the young assets, but they do have the assets to make a move if they wanted to.
This is the key sell high point. If you're going to sell high, you got to do it right now because they'll never have higher value.
Yeah, that's true. What I would like to see is I think the Warriors should trade the second pick, and I think they should try to package that with Wiggins and get as much value as they can. Mm-hmm. They have the potential to really put together a trio here that would be great. I know they have Draymond, but to me, he's not as effective as he used to be. And if I'm the Warriors, I call the Bucks every day. You say only people untouchable are Steph and Clay. You tell us what you want. Now, I don't think it would ever happen.
They're still gonna
but
say no.
you still do it. You still do it, and I think that they should also reach out to other teams for other stars because they have the assets to do it. I'm really interested to see what they'll do. I hope they don't draft. I want to see them trade.
Who else? Who else other than Giannis?
James Harden. He's on the block. Believe that he is on the block.
That was going to be my my next thing. I'm interested to see if the Rockets do move Harden. And if not, I'm really interested to see what the team will be like without D'Antoni and when they actually add a fucking center to their team or just a big man in general. Because I really think that if you had someone that was just a formidable big man, someone who could play good defense, they would have been a lot more competitive against the Lakers. I'm not saying they would win, but give them some. I wish they would get rid of Westbrook too. I don't know if he complements Harden as well as they thought they would. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what the Rockets could do. I really do think Harden is a generational talent offensively. He needs the right pieces around him, just like every superstar does. But I don't know. I think that you do. I wish they just wouldn't have got rid of Chris Paul. They had a good core, I think. But it is what it is. I'm just interested to see what the Rockets do. I think it'll have a big ripple effect on the West. If the Rockets start making big moves, especially if they move Harden, that'll be a fucking huge thing.
Yeah.
So, question: Wiggins, the 2, and next year's 1 for Harden. Is that deal going, or is that still not enough in today's NBA?
No.
Are you gonna need at least 3-4 firsts in there?
You're gonna need. I'm telling you right now, the Rockets are going to ask you for every single draft pick that you are capable of trading under the rules just to get in the door, just to even get in the door. But what I'm saying is they're going to start having those undercover discussions.
And then my other question is let's say the Warriors did make a move like that where they traded the next 5 years worth of picks and they traded Andrew Wiggins and another player on their team.
Yeah, Clippers did.
I don't fucking know. And so they trade all of that away and they get Harden. Are you trusting Clay at the 3?
I trust Clay at the 4.
Oh, yeah.
I trust Clay at the 5. If you have James Harden, Clay, and Steph, I don't care. You could put me and Jordan out there as the 4 and the 5. We'll be totally fine.
Hey, we'll average 8 points. We'll average 8 fucking points.
Give me 16 shots. You'll get 8 points.
How many fucking shots is that offense taking? Fuck.
Every starter try and take 200 a game, bro. They'll just be.
But people forget though that Clay is very good on defense. He could play 3. He could play 3 no problem.
No, Clay. I think I might have said this to you two before, but Clay is a 1. Like he's a legit 1 that's being a 2 because he has to.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about that. When the Warriors had KD, Klay Thompson is a 1 who's being a 3. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. But yeah, I mean, side note too, we talked about the Clippers a little bit. Just so everyone's aware, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are going to be free agents next year. The Clippers sold their whole entire future for Pat Bev and 2 years of Kawhi and Paul George.
I think Kawhi will stay, personally. But I cannot see, after this last year, Paul George remaining in LA.
Pandemic P.
Like, they may run it back. Like, I really would actually wish they would trade him. There's just going to be no value for him. So that's the part. I don't know, bro. It's real tough. Like, I wouldn't even mind if the Warriors said, like, hey, we'll give you Wiggins for Paul George or something. Maybe not give him the 2. Maybe give him another draft pick. I think that would work well.
Well, they got a high 2nd round pick. They could throw that in there. Wiggins in a 2nd.
Okay, I don't think his value is that low. Just to be a little realistic. All right, enough NBA talk. I'm sure as time goes on and more things fall into place, we'll talk about them more. But now we just had NFL Week 7. We just had the last game end. It is right now Monday night. This will go up on Tuesday. And really the first game I wanted to talk about was Tampa Bay. The worst nickname shit I've ever heard, ever. I hate it.
Peyton. Stop hating.
No.
Stop hating. You're mad.
Yeah, I'm mad.
You're mad.
Anyways, he is playing top tier. He's looking like there's just some points Tom Brady looks like he was 10 years ago. And it's really frustrating because on top of that, he's having all of these weapons with Godwin. And then what's the
Mike Evans.
what's the little white boy's name? Is that
Scotty Miller.
Yeah, Scotty Miller. He was balling the fuck out, and you throw in Mike Evans. Yeah, a little bit, huh? And then you throw in fucking Gronk, and then OJ Howard, and then Fournette.
Out for the year.
Oh, he's out. Sorry, my apologies. But yeah, Fournette, and then Ronald Jones has been playing pretty damn good too. And they have a really good offensive line, and that defense is number 1 in the league currently. They are just balling the fuck out. Young E, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a top 3 team in the league right now?
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say they're a top 3 team in the NFC at this point. And, I think going into the season, I really wasn't sure about that. And I knew Tom would run up the stats a bit with these weapons. And I think OJ Howard going down hurt, but Gronk has really stepped up in his absence. And I think now you add AB, that really fills that void. If AB comes back half of what he was, and I think AB is going to come back probably 80 to 95% of what he was, so I'm kind of worried about that. And then their defense, their defense was nice before the season started. I've been high on Devin White since last year, and then I didn't even know, second year got voted as captain. And with the defense that has Ndamukong and Sue and Vita Vea on it, that's a big deal. And then Antoine Winfield has been Defensive Rookie of the Year so far.
Levante David.
And Levante David's a monster.
Shaquille Barrett.
It's always been Shaquille Barrett's a monster. Their defense is nasty, and their offense is deep. And I would say the most impressive thing I've seen with Tom this year is he's been able to fit in the Bruce Arians offense, that vertical offense. He very much to what I didn't think he had in him has been able to throw the ball down the field, no problem. And I have watched a lot of these Tampa Bay games so far, and I'm impressed. I mean, he throws the ball 40 yards, and it really doesn't look like much. I mean, honestly,
it certainly doesn't look like Drew Brees.
And I watched Nick Foles tonight throw a fucking 8-yard out route to the sideline, and he looks like his arm's gonna fucking fall off because he's got arthritis. I don't know. Man.
Tom can't beat him. Tom can't beat him.
I'm amazed, bro. Yeah. I'm amazed. You're not wrong there. I don't know what it is with that, but I'm amazed.
I respect it. Philanthropist, what about you? What do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
So, I mean, I'm going to give Tom an A- for the year so far. All right. And it's an A- for 2 reasons. Number one, the weapons he has is just ridiculous at this point. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to give him too much credit on that end, but like Ethan said, he's been making a lot of vertical throws, which is something we haven't seen from a while. And then also just having his ability to play call and, situational awareness, that's going to be huge. I mean, the Bucs, I think they went 8-8 last year. Don't quote me, but they went 8-8 with a quarterback who threw 32 interceptions. So anything that's not that is going to be an upgrade for you. And then it's also an A- because he didn't shake Nick Foles' hand, which is just come on, man.
Ass.
Just let it go. Just go shake his hand, go home. You can't do that. Nope.
I've just been impressed. They look like a team that's been playing with each other for a while. Mm-hmm. For having a new quarterback, having someone like Gronk come in and who's really stepped up the last couple of weeks. It looked like he needed just a little bit of a preseason. That's what it looked like Gronk needed. He needed a preseason. He's gotten that. And what'll be interesting for me is I think a lot of teams did expect Tom to not have that long range, deep throwing. I think a lot of people expected him to implement more of his play style with the Patriots, with the short passes and screens. So I'd be interested to see what the defensive adjustments will be going halfway through the season. But the thing is with that is if Brady's really hitting those deep throws, I don't think you can really beat him there, because he's just going to hit the short throws. You know, he's already really good at doing that. So with the weapons, and the thing is too is, let's say he isn't accurate on those deep throws. It's really not going to matter when you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can go up and go get it. You have
And
someone like
Antonio
Gronk.
Brown.
Yeah, and then I was going to go right into that. And now they're bringing in Antonio fucking Brown.
Bro,
Yep,
if they throw AB in the slot, I'm a bust. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
You know they're gonna do it.
Oh yeah,
It's-
Young
oh.
E. How do you think that's going to change their offense?
They're gonna keep doing exactly what they're doing. What I've seen this year is what they do is they run a one back offense, and it's either Ronald Jones or I'm fucking blanking. Fournette. And Fournette, they both actually been playing really well, but they run a one back offense and they spread the ball out. They have one tight end, and it's either, since OJ Howard has went down, they've only had one tight end, and it's Gronk. And then they have Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. And all that's going to happen now is Scotty Miller is going to turn into Antonio Brown. And we're going to have to deal with that. And
Scotty Miller might be nice by himself, bro.
No, Scotty Miller is good. He's good. And they might even, when they come out and they run, you know, if Gronk has to come out and they run a 4-receiver, 1-back set, you know, they're fine. And their offensive line is good too. I mean, I wanted to speak on this just a little bit more because I just wanted to say this Tampa Bay team scares me this year. At this point, they scare me. I think, honestly, looking at this team, they are the most complete team in the NFC. And in my eyes, as a Ravens fan coming from the AFC, I think they're the scariest team in the NFC. Because you have Tom at quarterback, and that in the playoffs is invaluable. There's nothing, you know, nothing.
You don't think they're the most complete in the NFL? Who would you say on the NFC matches up with that?
I would say Ravens, Steelers, and Chiefs can give them a run for their money on their matchups. Because I think Ravens and Steelers both have an elite defense with good offenses, and I think the Chiefs are just that good on offense that
my homeboy.
It's just Mahomes, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't count Mahomes out of any game, and I think in any 1-to-1 match, I'm taking Mahomes 10 times out of 10, and I don't care who it's against.
I agree.
But Tampa Bay, scary team. Getting AB, and they're just getting, I feel like they're just getting started. They're just getting in the roll of things. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are just getting I think this last week was the first time that they had both played in the same game since week 1. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. And if they can keep that, oh my gosh, this team is just nasty. I'm scared. I'm scared for the NFC. I think they will run through the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks, and I love what I've seen from Russ this year. And I don't know if we were going to talk about the Seahawks, but their defense has been god-awful.
I wanted to touch on that as well.
They've been giving up like 35-plus a game, and when you're going to see Tampa Bay, and then on top of seeing Tampa Bay carries the number 1 defense, that's a really tough matchup if your defense can't carry the weight.
Yeah, I agree. The Seahawks, it's been unfortunate. They've been getting lit up a little bit. I think the thing that's kind of scared me with the Seahawks is they've kind of let their Legion of Boom defense go away. And then they're kind of going the route of what the Packers do and just saying, fuck it, we'll have our quarterback, right? We'll just we'll trade away our first-round picks. We'll not build up the young talent. And we'll just say, fuck it, we'll let him do it. And he's been doing a great job. You know, they've hit on some draft picks late, like Tyler Lockett, for instance. And I think they got lucky that DK Metcalf fell to them late. Mm-hmm. So they've been able to do that and get him some decent weapons. But, yeah, man, they got to fix up that defense, especially if you're going to want to compete in a division like the NFC East. Mm-hmm. I think the Cardinals are going to continue to build that offense to being more high-powered. They're already really up there with being with the top offenses in the league. And then the Rams, you know, they can step it up at any point. The Niners, I know we've lost a little confidence in Jimmy G in all three of us here, but they can still put up really good numbers, especially if they rush.
Hey, but listen, the Niners have put together two of the gutsiest wins in a row I've seen them do in like 2 or 3 years. We came in, we blew out the Rams, then we blew out the Patriots after some really tough weeks. So they're a threat. They're always a threat.
Can
But
we
yeah,
talk about when
I
was
just
gonna-
want to say,
about the
can I
Dolphins?
say,
The
What?
Dolphins?
can I say that I'm upset that they've given the Eagles their only win of the year?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we reached our breaking point because we lost a close one to the Eagles, and then we got blown out by the Dolphins, and then we turn around, we blow out the Rams, and then we blow out the Patriots, which is big. So they're gonna have it together.
You know what the fuck that is?
What?
That's good coaching.
Yeah, that Shanahan has pulled some shit out this
Go.
year. We've had the worst injury luck I've seen for my team in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Go.
Wait, go ahead.
Nope, I was just saying Shanahan's a
He
goat.
was just saying go. But
Oh.
I agree, Jordan. I don't fear the Seahawks at all. I think the Seahawks, every year there's teams that are, I don't want to call them fake good, but they're not as good as their record would indicate. And I think the Seahawks are definitely one of those teams this year. I think the Bears are also up there where, the Seahawks, they're really relying on Russ pulling out some magic this year, like really, really badly. So I don't trust it.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think you still can never count out Russ. He's
Never.
just
No, never.
never count him out. Especially, they get in a position where, they could have home field advantage or something. You're never gonna want that to happen with the Seahawks, even though we are in the COVID nation right now. And the thing is NFC West. It's gonna be hard for me to think that Tampa Bay is going to be able to take out all those teams. I think they match it pretty well because defenses are pretty damn good in the NFC West.
Definitely.
So let's move on to a team that I know Young E has been loving to see their success, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they got lucky. They didn't get to overtime against the Titans here. I think Ryan Tannehill played a great game. Titans struggled in the first half, but really stepped it up. And then the Steelers almost let it slip away. But we had Steven Gostkowski, man. That dude, I'm calling it right now. Steven, it's time to retire. I'm sorry. You had some great years. I think you've even had potentially a Hall of Fame career as a kicker. But it's time to let it go. You got your rings. It's all good. There's no shame in it. It's just time. We can't see this anymore. The Titans are on the verge, I think, of being, a top NFL team. The efficiency of that team just astounds me every week. I can't believe it. I can't even imagine. It just makes me mad with Tannehill, okay? It makes me mad that I see the success. I had Adam Gase as a coach ruin him, and we're seeing that shit taking effect here in New York. But that's enough of the Titans.
His name triggers me.
We're going to talk about the real bread and butter of this game, and that is the emergence of an undefeated Steelers team. We have been saying on this show that they've been fortunate with a bad schedule, but here they go against another undefeated team, and they showed out, and they won. Young E, are you officially scared of the Pittsburgh Steelers as a Ravens fan?
Here's what I'll say. I think the Steelers are fortunate of not only a bad schedule to begin the year, but a bad schedule throughout the year. They play the Titans, they play the Ravens, they play the Bills, and outside of that, they see a whole lot of shit. So I think they get lucky with that. But, we'll live with that. And with Lamar Jackson, I'm going to get used to getting the games against the Chiefs, getting the games against the Patriots, getting the games against the better teams. That's how it's going to be. But I would say I'm not worried for the long term. I guess I am worried for this week's game because I think it's definitely a losable game. The offense has been struggling a bit. I'm worried because we're playing a pretty good defense. but I think this team in the playoffs, as in the Steelers, is no threat to anyone in the AFC because I think realistically, they're one of those teams, like Phil said, where their record is going to show them a lot better than they actually are. And it's more of just on they got lucky because we've landed in the AFC South and the NFC East in the same year.
Philanthropist, is he hating on the Steelers? Is this a bias situation? And also,
He is.
I want to know, are you impressed with your main man, Big Ben?
Oh my God.
Fuck.
So Ethan is hating. He's always going to hate on the Steelers, but he's not wrong. Okay? He's right in this circumstance of his hating. You know, the Steelers have fielded some great teams over the years. This is not one of them. They are extremely fake good. Extremely fake good. Like, okay, their defense is fantastic. I'm going to give them that. Defense, really, really good. Offense, we were talking about it earlier. I think Big Ben is no longer playing well, and he just puts up good numbers that hide that. I think James Conner is really not a good running back at all. I know he puts up good numbers. He puts up good numbers, but I'm just telling you, just eye test watching him, he does not hit the holes the way I want him to. Pause. Also,
Can't
the
do
one thing
that.
the one thing I will say about the Steelers, whoever their wide receiver scout is, or their scouting department for wide receivers, needs to be the highest paid scout in the league because they hit on receivers every single year in the draft. They're almost like a farm system for the rest of the NFL to get their receivers. So
Hey,
big shout out to them.
Chase Claypool was one of my preseason hot boys. I just want to shout that out.
Good call. That's a great call. But yeah, I don't think the Steelers are 6-0 good. I think they're like 4-2 good, in my opinion.
4-2 good. That's still pretty damn good.
I think they're as
Hell no.
good as the Raiders or,
Okay.
like a team like that, or the Rams. I think they're around that level of a team.
Yeah,
I for
fair.
one, have been pretty impressed with Big Ben. Unfortunately, I think he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I was not expecting him to come out and play like that, like he has been. There's been some throws where, you're like, well, there's Big Ben, but I think that they've put a good team around.
I'm not going to say it.
But I think what's going to separate the Steelers I think what's going to take them over the top potentially, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that defense is built well to defend someone like Lamar Jackson. Having someone on the edge like TJ Watt, who is super athletic, he just wrecks offenses. Whoever your right tackle is, they have to be prepared to get fucked with no loot.
But here's the thing with me and the Ravens and the Steelers and why I don't see the Steelers as a threat. Because I think our defense is just as good as the Steelers in different ways, but I do think it is just as good as the Steelers. Steelers have a really good front seven. We have a really good secondary, and now like a really good front seven as well. And Patrick Queen has really turned out. So I think our defense can play with them. And what it comes down to me is, am I trusting the Steelers offense over the Ravens offense? And I don't think, even without bias, I don't think I can do that. Like, this Ravens offense is, I think, better than the Steelers offense.
Listen, personnel, I think the Ravens have it, but I really am not on the Greg Roman train, bro. I would just trust Roethlisberger saying fuck it and just airing it out than trusting Greg Roman in like a playoff game,
I just would love some play action mixed in. And when I mean play action, I don't mean like motion, like we're going to do a jet sweep and then fake that every 3 plays. Cause
pistol play action.
That's not play action. Like, we need like some fake stretch plays. We need some, some comeback routes in there, like get some play action going. But we're going to run and run and run. And then we're not going to run because Mark Ingram isn't what he was last year, and for some reason they won't give the fucking ball to J.K. Dobbins. And then we're going to let Lamar throw 40 times a game, but in really bad situations, like 13 of his throws are going to come on 3rd and 6 or more. So, I'm not going to be mad at Lamar
can't
if he
do
goes
that.
5 of 13 on those throws.
It sounds like you're turning him, Bill.
No, I don't need to turn him. Greg Roman is gonna do that himself. I want to be the voice on his shoulder that was saying it beforehand.
I'm afraid he's not wrong. So far this year, he has proven indeed correct.
I just think that you guys may be sleeping on the Steelers a little bit. And I also want to applaud the job done by Mike Tomlin year in and year out. Dude, he just hell of a fucking coach.
Great coach.
And that he's always putting, and what I think is the difference maker with the Steelers too, is even if they aren't up to par with some of their teams, it's their reputation and their culture as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
The steel fucking curtain, opposing teams, they see those black helmets with the fucking yellow, and they just know that they're going to get hit. They know that team's going to do everything they can to win. They're going to play 100%. And that's, I think, the difference maker. I'm not saying that they're going to beat the Ravens or anything, but I do think it is a little bit closer than you guys are wanting to give credit.
Tomlin is 2 in the league. There's no question in my mind. He's been 2 for probably 3-4 years now.
Over Andy Reid.
And I think he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. Yes.
You got 2 rings, bro. What you mean?
He's got 2 rings. No, he's got 2.
Okay, you're right.
And also with that, I think Tomlin.
He wasn't coach though for the first one.
He was like an assistant, I think, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
But I think he's 2, and I think he's just a very good coach all the way. But I think the Ravens are going to give this a good run. That being said, this game this week is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be one of the best games of the year. Steelers and Ravens, always one of the best games of the year. Have some moments
it needs to be flexed
in the past where it just makes me want to yak thinking about it, like the Antonio Brown reach over the line, Billy Cundiff missed field goal, Joe Flacco interceptions. I mean, the list goes on and on. But going to be a dogfight, hell of a game. I'm really excited to watch it.
We'll definitely take a deep dive into that later this week. We got to get an episode in before Sunday. We got that's really going to be a special game. I had something that I was going to say. Oh, Philanthropist, I need you to make the call to the commissioner. Let him know that we want to see Ravens Steelers Sunday night.
Listen, I'm already on it. Me and Roger have a really good relationship. He's going to listen to what I have to say. Believe me when I say Ravens Steelers will be on Sunday Night Football.
And it's also more than that. No one wants to see the NFC East on any primetime games.
I don't even want to see him on Red Zone. Just take them off.
Let's go.
And we have to watch fucking Bucks and Giants next week on Monday Night Football. Like, can we just stop, please? It's the worst division in football. It's the worst. This year, it might be the worst division in football history.
I was going to say of all time.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's that
Giants,
bad.
Yeah, that's their second Monday night game. That's crazy.
That's horrible.
Fuck that. All right. Speaking of Monday night, we did just have a Monday night game occur. And I know Young E's going to have some opinions on this. The Bears are one of those teams that he supports. Kind of like if the Bears are doing really well, I think he would have the same attitude towards them as he does towards the Heat. The Rams, pretty much this whole game, beat the shit out of the Bears. The Rams defense, I think, doesn't get enough credit. I know that we have Aaron Donald, but I think the rest of the team, I think people are sleeping a little bit on Jalen Ramsey with his recent struggles, and I don't even think he's been struggling like that either. But, man, yeah, that team looks good. Jared Goff seems to be getting more back into a rhythm. Sean McVay seems to get his play calling, especially those fucking jet sweeps. I'm so tired of those fucking jet sweeps working. I don't care what team it is. That shit makes me mad.
That's fast.
Every time I see a jet sweep go for like 30 or 40 yards, that shit makes me hella mad.
Bro, they're just playing Madden at this point.
They were hitting Nick Foles. Nick Foles looked ass. I know Young E is going to get into that. And a Philanthropist, I'll let you talk about the Rams as well. But this was a good game. Rams, clap, clap, clap. I'm a little scared for this man right here to play his very first game against them. Young E, what did you see from this Monday night game?
Got Tabasco in my eye.
What's going on?
I need water.
Oh, no,
Help
did
me.
do
I
something
need
in my
water.
eye.
Help.
Nah. So first off, I want to tell you, the Bears pissed me the fuck off tonight. All right. I've watched every fucking Bears game this year, every single fucking one.
I'm
Look at
so
this
sorry.
passion. Look at this passion.
They're pissing me the fuck off. I'm fucking tired of it, bro. You're gonna bench Mitch for this shit? Like, I'm okay
Yeah,
if
let's
you're gonna
calm.
bench Mitch for somebody decent, but Nick Foles has looked like a fucking old version of Tom Brady, and I don't even know how that's possible. Like, he has Philip Rivers throw, but with an arthritis arm, and I don't know, like, I don't know how he's even getting the ball down the field. I was upset tonight. They can't finish in the red zone. He looks like he runs the offense a lot better than Trubisky, and I'll give him that. And the rest of the team has a lot more confidence in him than they do in Trubisky. But, man, Nagy, it's time. Call Atlanta. Find out what they want. I don't care if it's 2 firsts. I don't care if it's fucking 7 firsts. You need that man, Matty Ice. You guys are in a position right now at 6-2 or 5-2. Jesus Christ, 5-2 to contend. Get a quarterback in there that will help you contend. That is not Nick Foles. Please, please, please.
Philanthropist, what do you have to say about what Young E just said? And also, what is your take on the Rams?
I didn't watch this particular game. I had a feeling I knew what was going to happen. Some points I would like to bring up about the Bears. When they drafted Trubisky, they traded up one spot for the Niners pick. They were under the impression that either the Niners were going to take Trubisky, which we had no intention of doing, or someone else was going to trade up for that spot. So I want you guys to know that they traded up one spot. They gave up their 3rd round pick that year, their 4th round pick that year, their 3rd round pick the next year, and then another 4th round pick 2 years from then. So they gave up 4 picks to move up one spot to draft Trubisky, who wasn't number 1 on anybody's quarterback draft board except for theirs. And that's why they're in the position they are today. Straight, plain and simple. Could have got Hopkins, or not Hopkins, sorry. Could have got Watson, could have got Mahomes, could have got something else. They got Trubisky.
They probably could have used one of those 3rd round picks to get Hopkins.
You never know with the Bill O'Brien fire sale. Yeah, you see. Anyway, with the Bears and the Rams, the Rams, I think they're decent. That's all I really have to say about them. They're okay. They're going to be a good team. They're going to have a winning record. I think the Niners kind of exposed them for what they were in the fact that they're not contenders. And I'm not even saying the Niners are contenders, but it's just they got the brakes beaten off of them once again. And also, too, something I like to point out is that the Niners shut down Aaron Donald for a game, which I have yet to see someone else replicate. And what that shows to me is that when Aaron Donald is not causing that disruption that he always is, the defense is really not that good. Ramsey is playing really well. That's a given. But outside of that, like, you can gash them for yards for sure, which the Bears clearly did not do tonight. But most teams are going to be able to put forth yards, so it really becomes like a bend, don't break defense, which you don't really want. So I think the Rams are okay. I think the Bears are not as good as 5-2 would recommend. I know Ethan thinks they're good, but what I'm saying is I don't care that they would be good with a good quarterback. Bottom line for me, they don't have a good quarterback, so they're not good. It is the way that I feel. But like Ethan said, if they were to get Matt Ryan, that changes a lot. But yeah, for me, 2 uninteresting teams, predictable result. I have David Montgomery in fantasy, and he is by far the worst fantasy running back of all time. I'm starting him because McCaffrey's hurt, but this dude will get 20 carries and put up 50 yards. It's really ridiculous.
Did you win this week, Phil?
I did not. No, I did not.
Just want to point out before we go further on the show that I will be taking first place in our division after this week, and it will be a short-lasted crowning because I do play Young E this week, and I just know how that's going to end.
Believe in yourself, bro.
All right, I'll believe in myself just a little bit. I got a chance.
Hey, McCaffrey's coming back next week, so I hope y'all had fun while you did.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Hey, Goose is having a miraculous comeback this season. I just want to point out, after 3 games, he was in dead last.
Mm-hmm.
And he has come all the way back, storming to first place.
I think he's a 5-game winning streak, right?
I just lost Odell though, and then with it was already. I thought I was done with Dak being gone, but now Andy Dalton, because I have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and I was really good because of Dak. Andy Dalton was able to carry me a little bit, but it's done. I think I'm done after this week.
No, listen, I just got off the phone with Jerry earlier today.
Okay.
He said it's cap time.
Shit.
So
I really wish, bro.
You never know, bro.
No, I think Jerry Jones would probably rather have a stroke than have cap on his field.
Jerry Jones would rather have whoever his least favorite person of all time is come play quarterback than Cap.
Troy Aikman, bro. He's gonna bring back Troy Aikman.
He would rather out Tony Romo and Troy Aikman than have Cap. No, he'd have Jim Nance. That's how bad it is. He'd have Jim Nance come out there and play QB.
Joe Buck.
He might have Mike Nolan go out there run a couple plays.
You never know, bro.
Can that coaching staff? Can we do a segment real quick about coaching staffs that just need to get fired?
Yeah, let's do that. Top three.
Top 3.
We can't. It should be undisputed. Number 1 is Gase.
Yeah, number 1. We don't need to talk about number 1. We know who's number 1. Okay, there's no one else even on the list that I think should be for sure fired right now. But then I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I think McCarthy was the wrong decision. I think the people he brought in was not good. He's got to go. And I think after that, I think we got to go to Jacksonville. And I think it's Doug Marrone as the coach there right now. And I think it's time to go. I think we've seen something in the last couple of years with players not wanting to play there. Yannick, Ramsey, Calais Campbell. And I mean, I could say it's guys like Ramsey who are a little bit more out there. But then you have guys like Calais Campbell, who's the utmost of dudes as a leader, and he wants out of there. I think it kind of speaks to something going on within that organization and that coaching staff, and it might be time.
Let's be fair. We're talking about a city in Jacksonville, Florida, that is not the most appealing place to live and work.
Hey, but bro, can I tell you something? They have indoor practice facilities.
Stop. Stop it. Joe Burrow's listening. Don't do that.
I think Zach Taylor could be on that list. I don't think it's super immediate.
Mm-hmm.
Another name I would like to throw in there is Mike Zimmer. I think the Vikings are going to have they're going to have to do a rebuild. I think they reached their high point. I think what really was pushing them was Stefanski, and unfortunately, he's not with the team anymore.
That's a hot take. I have a hot take, too, for this. I think our boy, dear old Dougie P, should potentially be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 years, maybe 2 years in a row now where they've either underperformed or they're just completely mismanaged Carson Wentz. I don't know if Wentz is actually bad or if he's not being used correctly, but I know Dougie P, he was a former quarterback, right? He's supposed to be the QB whisperer. Something's not adding up. Something's not going right.
The GM for the Eagles needs to be fired.
Yeah, he's pretty shit.
I want to say with the Wentz too, I don't want to say he's bad because he literally has a bunch of undrafted free agents out there on the field.
Hey, Fulgham is nice though. This year,
no, he's good, but 4th round pick, dude. That's their best receiver.
That's true.
That's a joke. That can't be real. That can't be an NFL team. They got to get something figured out. I know Alshon Jeffrey has been hurt the entire year. Deshaun Jackson has been hurt the entire year. He came back last week and tragically got hurt on the fucking 3rd drive of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they got to figure something out because Ertz isn't healthy. Goddard's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Wentz has to have somebody to throw to. He has to.
Definitely.
Can't just be Fulgham.
Just watch. Mike Zimmer will not be the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings next year.
I don't know, man. I like Zimmer a lot, regardless. I think Kirk has just been really shit this year, which probably is because of what happened with Stefanski.
I don't know. I've just been seeing the rumblings. I've done a little reading on it, and I know that there's been talk about it.
Could be, yeah. I mean, the NFC North's cutthroat, man. You're in, you're out.
And
We'll
Matt
get into
Patricia
that.
might be doing just enough to save his job.
Yeah.
Bro, no, I hate Matt Patricia.
Hey, but they're winning enough games to keep him there. But I will say, and we'll talk about this probably later in the season, but I think there are a couple teams who we kind of looked at as contenders who are going to be looking at full-blown rebuilds and tanking for that one pick. And I think both the Falcons and the Vikings are teams that, they might be tanking for Lawrence. It's just going to be hard to beat out the Jets.
It's going to be really fucking hard.
They're going 0-16, bro. I'm telling you.
Bro, they might.
Why do you think Gase isn't fired yet? That's what ownership is doing. They're keeping Gase so they go 0-16. They don't want to improve.
That's fair. That's an interesting strategy to make your fan base lose faith in your whole organization. But fuck it,
Kill
right?
your players and make everyone want to leave.
Can I also talk about real quick, just for you, Ethan? This is coming out of left field, but I'm sure y'all saw Todd Gurley accidentally scored. The defense let him score. I want to bring attention to the fact that Ethan's patented young E Madden strategy is now a mainstay in the NFL, where you let someone score blatantly in order to get the ball back. I just wanted to point that out.
That reminded me of, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the second Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Giants. The second time they faced each other. Bill Belichick tried it, and it didn't work.
Yep. That's true.
And it was the same shit. Ahmad Bradshaw tried to take a knee right at the one, and he fell in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just really surprised at how Todd Gurley did not recognize, oh, shit, no one's hitting me right now.
Yeah. No, he took like a bounding step forward still.
Oh, that was fucking hilarious. Speaking of that, is there any roast you want to give about the Falcons, man? Another fucking choke?
They're terrible. They're just terrible. The defense is terrible. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones need out of there. I guess Calvin Ridley is the one building block that they're going to hold on to going forward. And he's damn fucking good, so that's good. But get Matt Ryan, Julio out of there. Get whatever value. You might be able to land 3 firsts this year, and if you can, fantastic, because there's 3-4 quarterbacks that might be able to be starters in the NFL, and I would say at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks that can be starters in the NFL, and then you can start working on that defense, because that defense is just, it's terrible.
I think the worst thing to me is the only thing worse than being terrible is when you're terrible but you're not actually terrible. Because, be honest, I mean, the Falcons legitimately should be 4-2 this year, or 4-3. But they have not got that because they've had these ridiculous blown leads in, 4 different games now? And that's what sucks. I mean, like, the GM did their job. He got a good roster there. And for coaching, or because the players, had a oopsie, whatever reason, they have lost these games that they should have won, and they should be smack dab in the playoff race, and they're just not. I mean, it's so deflating, and I think, like Ethan said, you just got to clear house. Just act like it didn't happen and move on.
I think the Falcons are actually terrible, but and the reason why I say that is because I know, as a Dolphins fan, they're not blatantly terrible. They get your hopes up, fuck it up at the end, and that's honestly worse. Like, I would really rather it be you go like 1-15 than have be like 4-12.
I agree.
Like 4 games were like by 1 score. Like, that shit makes you just want to fucking throw everything at the wall.
I agree.
Speaking of funny shit, I do want to just go off of we were kind of laughing at it earlier. Mike Nolan, Tabasco in the eye. Cowboys, just an absolute joke. Let's continue this roast session. Like we just talked about, Mike McCarthy will be on the way out, it looks like. Is there anything that the Cowboys can do to salvage the talent that they have there on the team, or do they got to blow it up?
No, they're going to be fine next year. I think they came upon bad fortune. They shouldn't have fired McCarthy. It was the wrong hiring, and that coaching staff was the wrong hiring. And then
They shouldn't have hired McCarthy. You said fired. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Hired McCarthy and that coaching staff like just bad. And then Dak got hurt, and now we're gonna see Dalton down for probably
Ever.
3 weeks.
I think he actually died. I think he died on the field.
He got knocked out pretty good, and you could see when he walked off the field, he had that look in his eyes like,
What's going on?
Exactly. He thought he just got done fighting Khabib. So it is what it is. They came upon some bad fortune. No, they don't need to blow it up. Next year, they're going to be back in the driver's seat of that shitty ass division because nobody can step up. It sucks because I really looked at that division this year and I was like, the Giants could step up. No. Daniel Jones, awful. Can't be a quarterback in the NFL after this year. Washington might step up. No. I mean, they've been okay, but Dwayne Haskins did not have a good start to the year. Then they had that whole thing blow up in their face. Kyle Allen looked okay this weekend, but it was against the Cowboys. So,
speaking of the Washington football team, I do want to point out and talk about for a brief second, Ron Rivera was able to walk down the hallway and ring the bell in his cancer treatment center. And it's just an amazing story there, and I'm glad that he beat it.
I was going to shout that out at the end of the episode, but yeah, happy for him, and I hope they can rally around that. I would love to see Alex Smith find his way into that starting job one way or another.
Hey,
and I will say, too,
you want to know some bullshit, Phil? All weekend, he was hoping for Kyle Allen to get hurt. So
No,
yes, you were.
That's
I
not
know
what
he probably
I said.
was.
I hope Kyle Allen plays poorly so Alex can play. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I would not wish that upon anyone except for the rapist Ben Roethlisberger. But that's only because he raped somebody. But it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I would love to see Alex Smith in the game if Kyle Allen could just go in the next 2 games and go no touchdown, 6 picks, a combined 8 for 56 throwing. I'll love it. And get Alex Smith in there, drive him to the playoffs like he has that knack of doing, because when your final 5 games are against that division, you could really be looking at a 5-0 and a not really competitive 5-0. So I think if Kyle Allen can blow it up for 2-3 games and they can get my boy in there, they have a definite chance of winning the NFC East.
It's hard for me to support that, but I respect it. And Alex Smith, Ron Rivera, great stories. They got great stories, and hopefully the Washington football team could pick a good name and take over that division because, gosh, nobody wants to win it.
I think they should just keep the name at this point. I'm used to it. It is what it is. Washington football team.
No, it's cheeks.
No, it's ass.
It's fine, bro. It's fine.
Real briefly, do want to talk about the Browns. They did lose Odell. Baker did struggle really bad. My God, that dude was getting roasted like a motherfucker on every single social media platform. Everywhere you turned, it was Baker fuck that like I've never seen such Colin Cowherd mentality sweep an entire nation.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
And then he said, fuck that shit. And I know he felt it too. Baker felt that was it, and he turned it on. It was against the Bengals. It was against Zach Taylor and his coaching staff. But he had a heck of a game, and it could look like this could be a booster for them confidence-wise. And unfortunately, they did lose a big piece, and that was Odell. I think that really will hurt them. Young E, just real quick, do you think the loss of Odell and potentially this win is going to change anything with the Browns this season?
I think the loss of Odell really hurts him going forward. He had really stepped up this year. He's been really good so far to this point. He's almost looked vintage Odell since week 2, which was nice to see, and I hate to see him go down. But I think they're still a good team. They have a defense that's good and young and putting it together. And I think um, Baker struggles, but he also really does well at times. Like he went 0 for 5 to start that game, and then he went 18 for 18. And I think he's that player. He's either here or he's here. Um, and there's really no in between to that. But I think they're a good team, and I think they're probably going to get that 7 spot.
Okay. Philanthropist, what do you think about the Browns?
I mean, it's I really don't know what to think about the Browns, to be honest with you. I'm a little bit lower on them than most 5-2 teams, but I definitely think they're gonna sneak into that wild card spot. Stefanski, I've been impressed with him so far. I think really with Baker, I think he's kind of been masking the fact that Baker hasn't been playing that well. I know Baker has good numbers. I don't know. When I watch him, there's a big eye test thing for me where like I just don't see the ball zip. I don't see those big throws be made. Like it kind of reminds me of Jimmy G type numbers. You're like, oh damn, he had a good stat line, but just something about it is not clicking for me. I could be tripping though. He had a really good game yesterday. It was like a really, really good game. 5 touchdowns. That's huge. Game-winning throw.
Bengals, though.
Yeah, it was the Bengals, but I mean the Bengals have been competitive this year. And bottom line, you got to get the W. You're down like that, just get the W. I don't care who it is, where it is, just get out of there with a win, and that's what good teams do. The defense is fantastic with the Cleveland. I'm really impressed by that. This is a talented team. This is the most talented team the Browns have put forth in a long, long time. Even with Odell out, I'm good with Jarvis being your number one or, a slot option, whatever it may be. I think they can survive, and I'm, maybe contest 9-7, 10-6, see what's going on with that. But yeah.
I will say just real quickly that I do believe we could see Odell being out. I know he's really fucking good, a top receiver in the league, but I do see in a way that it could benefit the Browns. And I say this because I actually didn't like the move for Odell going to Cleveland because what I saw from Baker his rookie year was the top receiver he did have was Jarvis, and he's very good in his own right. But the rest of the receivers, they were decent, but they weren't stars. And I think that allowed Baker to spread the ball out a little bit more, and he doesn't force it. Because there are times when he is playing with Odell that he really does force the ball to him, and it's just terrible decisions. And one of those decisions ended up getting Odell hurt. So I would like to see maybe Odell move on after the season and play in a better situation. But I do see this potentially being a positive for the Browns. Not positive that he got hurt, but it could be something that could help Baker allow him to spread the ball and make smarter decisions.
Yeah.
Last topic before we get into we're going to do a segment on NFL trades we would like to see as we are heading upon the trade deadline here in a week. The Patriots got killed by your team, Philanthropist. Before we get on to
You're welcome.
Seems like the collapse of a really dominant tenure that the Patriots have had here. What did you see from your 49ers, and do you see them potentially bouncing back from their previous 2 losses? I mean, from those losses we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the Niners have they've really gotten back to their roots in the fact that our defense was playing very poorly, but those 2 games that we lost in a row, like we literally had Jason Verrett, who's been really good this year, as one corner, and we had practice squad guys as the other corner, and we were just getting cooked. I mean, you remember the Dolphins game, Jordan. Fitzpatrick would throw every time it was man coverage, would throw to the same practice squad guy that got there 3 days earlier. He ended up giving up, I think it was 150 yards and 2 touchdowns by himself in man coverage, which is ridiculous. And we got Emmanuel Mosley back. Our defense looks completely different. Gave up 6 points to the Patriots, played really good against the Rams. And we've put the emphasis back on running. And having Deebo Samuel back, which of course now he's hurt again, but having Deebo there, Ayuk has been stepping up. And then really with that and having George Kittle fully healthy, the running lanes have been huge. Doesn't matter what running back we throw out there, they're going to end up getting 100, 120 yards. So I'm really happy with how they've been playing. I think they can keep it up. But I would also say to you that I think you're being a little premature with the Patriots' downfall here. I would like to remind, everybody that Cam did have COVID. It's a very serious illness. He came back relatively quickly, like within a week and a half. There's a lot of guys, like there's one dude on the Jaguars who's now out for the season because he's been hospitalized twice because of COVID and complications that come from it. And it's not even really like, even if Cam had a minor case, it's just the mental toll it takes on you to be like ripped out of your preparation. You have to go stop everything for a week and a half, and then you got to come back. I've seen a lot of people talking about, oh, they need to move on from Cam. Cam was a bad signing. He looked great the first 3 weeks. So I'd give it at least until like week 10 before I start really sounding the alarm bells. But yeah, their back's against the wall now. They got to come out and they just got to start winning again.
My thing with the Patriots is I have no doubt that they will bounce back and become very good under Bill Belichick. It's just, I think we've seen it last year, and I think we're seeing a little bit here. They do lack the talent to really compete with the top tier teams. They're going to obviously play very, very hard. They're not going to make any mistakes. They're not going to have those turnovers where it's going to make them lose the game. So I just think that this season they'll have a mediocre season. They could probably go like between 6-10, 8-8. I think they'll maybe, get a couple upset wins here and there. But I think at the end of the day, they just don't have the talent for it. And I think that they're going to have to wait for the offseason and potentially wait for next year to really compete. What is your opinion on the Patriots, Youngie?
I think they're a good team. I think they had a bad week. I think Phil made a good point with Camus coming back from COVID. It's a very serious illness. And in the 2 weeks that he has been back, he's looked very different than the player that he was before. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think maybe in 2 weeks, this can be a team on the up, and, we're looking out for them as a 7 seed again. But right now, I think they're in a bit of a down. I think if it continues, they might make the move to Stidham. One, to kind of see what they have in the future in him. And if they don't like what they see, obviously they'll be losing games so they can pick up a quarterback at the beginning of the draft.
Right.
All right. Cool with that. I agree. I'm not going to disagree with you guys. I just think that just the lack of the talent they have, I think that's just going to ultimately hold them back. I
need you, Jordan, to talk to the boys, tell the Dolphins if they go up to Foxborough and they put the pounding on the Patriots, I'll believe the downfall is real. I'll sound the alarm bells then.
I believe.
Well, they already lost. It was week 1. They played them.
Oh, really? Was that the one that was in New England? Okay. Well, okay, get the next one then. Get the second game. I want to start seeing the actual AFC East teams start putting the pounding on the Patriots.
Well, one of them we're never going to see.
Yeah, Dolphins and Bills. Dolphins and Bills show up, get 3 or so games between those two. I'll believe it's real. I will. Never a better year.
I'm not getting my hopes up with the Dolphins. I just can't do it yet. I'm sorry.
It's 2 a time, baby.
9-7.
I would be cool with that.
10-6.
Them are the Browns.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm cool with that. I wonder if I can't remember off the top of my head if we play them this year. Anyways, now we're going to go into a segment that we haven't really done before, and that's going to be exploring trades. And really, we're heading up onto the trade deadline here in week 8. And I think we could see some interesting moves here. I think we have some teams that are maybe one player away, or we have some teams that are being really shit and they have superstars or former superstars on their team that they want to gain some value for. Young E, I know that you might have a few in mind. We'll go to you first. What trades would you like to see at the trade deadline?
Loved Yannick. I loved that. Made my year. The trade that would really, really make my year is if the Ravens could somehow find a way, whether it was a single first or a first and a player or whatever it was, to get Julio Jones over in Baltimore. Big move that really shows you what they're trying to do this season. I'd love to see it. Do I think it's likely? Definitely not, especially with the signing of Dez. I don't think so. But who knows? That man, Eric DaCosta, has been magic. I'll give a hot take about that in a little bit, but he has been magic to say the least. But I would love to see him out of there. I've already talked about Matt Ryan to the Bears. I think that's a good fit. I'd like to see him get out of there. If Julio doesn't go to the Ravens, I'd love to see him in Philly or
Okay.
in another place where he's really going to get a chance to contribute with a quarterback who really doesn't have a number one option right now. Another guy I'd like to see get out, DJ Chark. I got a lot of love for Gardner Minshew, but it's just not there. DJ Chark has trade value. He's another guy I've read that the Ravens are looking at if they're going to get a receiver in the trade market, because it was something that came up in like the mailbag thing this week, the segment where people mail in questions and they answer. They're like, what receivers do you see the Ravens looking at? So it's like Julio Jones, which unlikely, but DJ Chark a little bit more likely. I think you could throw a second for him and probably land that. And that'd be a big move for the Ravens. They need a big body across from Marquise Brown. So any big-bodied receiver to the Ravens, I'd love that. But I want to see Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. I want to see them get out of there. I want to see DJ Chark get out of there. I want Haskins out of there. I want there needs to be some moves. I need this to be a big trade deadline.
Young E, I want to know, what do you think you could realistically get for Matt Ryan or Julio Jones? Because I think that their value is probably at an all-time low.
It is, but the value for a starting quarterback, a proven starting quarterback, is still high, and a value for, I mean, someone who's probably still a top 10 receiver in the league is still high, even at he's 32, 33 and having his injury problems, it's still high. I think Matt Ryan, you're looking at a late first and an early third or 2/3, or maybe an early second and an early third. I would say somewhere between picks 26 and 36 will probably do it for him, and then a third round pick probably in the first half of the round, unless you're willing to give up two. Julio, I think, would take a little bit more, which is weird to say when you're looking at a franchise quarterback like Matt Ryan, but I think he's 34 now. So I think he has 2 or 3 more years left on his contract, but that's probably it for him. Julio is going to bring in a little bit more. I think you might get a first out of Julio for sure. And you might get a first and next year's second. I think that's realistically what you could be looking at for Julio Jones right now. But we've seen with our main man, GOAT man, Bill O'Brien, it really boils down to the GM and what they're looking to get out of these players. Because if all the Falcons GM is looking to get out of Matt Ryan is a second and a couple thirds, then that's what he's gonna fucking get, is a second and a couple thirds.
I really don't think either of them would take. I don't think it would take first round picks. I could see multiple seconds, maybe with multiple thirds, maybe multiple fourths, whatever. I just think that when you're looking at a team that's going to want them, it's going to be a team that's going to be looking to contend. And I know that both of them have fat fucking contracts. So I think that's going to play a big part. And, a team's not going to want to take in Matt Ryan's contract and give up a first in the process.
Well, and that's the thing, is the teams will work that out. And that's kind of why I think a first will be thrown. Because the Falcons are in a spot now where if they really move on from Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, they're going into a full-blown rebuild at least 2 to 3 years. They're at a spot where they're going to be able to eat money for the rest of those contracts. So why not eat that money, even if you're eating 75% of both Julio and Matt Ryan's contracts? Eat that money, stack your draft picks, because you'll get first. I think at that point, if you're offering them at 50% or anything less than that, they're definitely going to get first for those guys. And I think they're in a position where they can eat that cap because they're going to be in a rebuild. especially if they move on from those two guys. They're in a rebuild. And there's no way you do that in 1 year and you make it out unless you get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, and I don't think they're going to have a high enough pick.
I could see that. But at the same time, I think me and you have talked about how the NFC South, the top teams, their quarterbacks are older. I would think it'd be beneficial if the Falcons maybe tried to build a little bit faster. They could possibly contend with the division next year if they could get something, like maybe not trade Julio, maybe bring in someone like Dak, because I really don't think he's going to be back in Dallas. Just an interesting scenario to think about there. Philanthropist, do you have any moves that you think that should happen at the trade deadline here?
Absolutely. I have 3 nuclear option trades for the 49ers, and they're all at the quarterback position. So option number 1. Option number 1 is for the guy who I think has the most value here, and it is Dak Prescott. I would give right now
He's dead.
2 first round draft picks for Dak Prescott, and ride it out with Jimmy G this year. Right off the year, I'm giving up 2 firsts for Dak. I saw what he did this year. He was 500 yards a week for almost 4 straight weeks. It was absolutely ridiculous. I want him on my team. I know Jimmy G's not the answer. I'm going with that.
2 firsts for a dude without a contract?
Yeah, really. Well, that's going to be part of the deal. Like, you're going to have to talk to Dak and say, listen, if you're coming for this, you're going to have to sign a new deal and we'll give you what you want. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I'm giving up 2 firsts for Dak. I think he's worth it. My second and third options would be for older quarterbacks who are looking for a change of scenery. So number 2 would be Matt Ryan of the Falcons. I'm willing to give up a first rounder straight up, or maybe a swap, maybe Jimmy G in a second and Jimmy G in a third for Matt Ryan. And then third on the list would be for Kirk Cousins. I know Shanahan has always liked Cousins. He was really looking hard at Kirk when he was a free agent the first time before we got Jimmy G. I think the Vikings might even want to consider just a straight up swap, just Jimmy G for Kirk, maybe some late round picks for a sweetener. If I'm John Lynch of the 49ers, I'm looking at all options, either through the draft or through trade, because me personally, I've seen enough with Jimmy G. I'm not giving him the youth experience thing anymore. He's 29, so I'm not trying to hear about him progressing. He's been with the Niners for 4 years now. It is what it is. No hard feelings to him, but he's just not the answer. You can't win Super Bowls with guys like that, and I think that's proven itself so far.
Fuck. Shit. You're going to go that?
In my opinion, there's no reason to sugarcoat it or to pretend that there's not a problem. Every single week where a guy has to go to the podium and say, no, he's our guy. The fact that we're having these conversations, there's clearly a problem. And I think we should stop trying to beat around the bush with it.
How do you do that? So I fuck with it. I'm not tripping off that. I think I would love to see Dak with the Niners. I think that would be fantastic. He's hurt. I think he's done for the year. Possibly, if not, he's going to be out for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be something that they would definitely try to do in the offseason, no doubt.
Yeah.
Get him as a free agent, maybe not even have to use the picks. I think that'd be great, and I think Dak would love to play for San Francisco. I'm going to go the same route. I'm going to go with picking my team and what I think they should do. I think that the Dolphins, they have a lot of draft capital, and I think that they are potentially closer to being division contenders than they want to admit. And I understand, keep your first round picks. Don't use them all. I mean, don't trade any of your first round picks, but you got a couple seconds. So I would say hit up Atlanta, see what they want for Julio, use maybe that high second that you get from the Texans, say what's up. Like, I just think that you put him with Devontae Parker, and then I know we have Preston Williams, who's been playing pretty decent too, but get Tua some weapons, get him some veteran leadership to go along with Ryan Fitzpatrick sitting behind him. I think that'd be great. Or see what's up with Michael Thomas. I've been seeing a little trade rumors out of there.
Slam
I've been
boy.
seeing some trade rumors.
A little bit.
That would be where I'm like, I would trade my own first. I wouldn't trade the Texans pick, but maybe I would trade my own first, maybe throw another second on there. That one would be like if I'm trying to hit a home run and trying to win right now. I don't know if we're there yet.
The Texans pick?
No, I wouldn't trade that pick. That could be potentially top 5.
Yeah, I'm saying a top 5 pick for Michael Thomas, who's arguably a top 5 player in the league.
No, I wouldn't do that. Because the reason why he's not going to want to be, or he's not going to be with New Orleans anymore, is because of the potential locker room problems that he can bring. So I think that drops his value just a little bit to where they would take maybe our first rounder. Because, like I said, we're on the borderline of there. So it very well could be a top 15 pick for the Saints. I don't think they would be tripping off that one bit. That's just going nuclear as well. Maybe not as nuclear as what Phil said. But and I also would like to see maybe just Michael Thomas get moved to a contender. I would love if the fucking Packers would maybe throw 2 firsts with like some thirds in there for Michael Thomas. They need it. I would love to see them make a move for that.
Could you imagine that offense? Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones with that bad man.
Ooh.
Oh,
I would love to see that. They've never done anything like that for Aaron Rodgers. So just throwing some things out there. I think that'd be fun.
Hey, I had one that I forgot. I wanted to throw out Brissett to the Bears. I would love to see that trade happen.
I can see that have him compete with whoever's going to be there. Yeah,
I forgot about Brissett. He's still out there just chilling.
Yeah, too good to be on the bench.
Yeah,
especially if you find
I
Phil Rivers.
All right, we're at towards the end of the show. That means we're ready to get these cheeks hot. This is hot take time. Does anyone want to go first for these hot takes? I feel like Philanthropist threw some hot takes in there with those trades.
Listen, guys, I emptied the chamber. I got nothing left. The clip has been unloaded. We're out of mags. There's nothing left to give. So I'm going to let Ethan take this away.
All right. I got a hot one for y'all today. And I've been sitting on this since the Yannick trade. I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens, in their 22 years of existence now, have been blessed with not 2 of the best NFL GMs of all time, but 2 of the best sports GMs of all time, period, in Ozzie Newsome and Eric DaCosta.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Ozzie, yeah.
Ozzie's in that conversation, I think, for sure. Eric DaCosta, I think, is making his way there. I saw something the other day, right after the Yannick trade, was we have traded for Marcus Peters, Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell for a third, and a fifth, and a special teams linebacker.
Yeah, the Marcus Peters one was very premature was it the Rams who had him at the time? Very premature.
They were selling off last year. So I got to respect that man, but I know that's pretty hot, especially if you're into more than one sport, because most people probably wouldn't even consider those 2 guys in the top 3 football GMs ever. I'm definitely putting Ozzie up there. I'd say Ozzie could be one of the, if not the best GM in football's ever seen.
Ozzie was pretty good. I'm going to give it to you. Ozzie had a really, really good track record. I don't think, in the Ravens 22 years, I don't think they've ever really fielded like a really shit team that wasn't like on a trajectory of rebuilding where it was clear they had a plan, they had a young core, so I'm going to give that to you. I'm going to need a little bit more out of the new guy. That's just a little early for me. I'm going to need him to have a full career.
Fair.
And don't sleep on Jerry, the executive, man.
Stop. He has not even been good, bro.
I'm just playing.
Bill O'Brien, GOAT GM.
So that was actually going to be a part of my hot take. I was going to say that I believe after the season, the Cowboys are going to blow it up. They're going to go rebuild. And I think it's going to be very hard for Jerry to swallow that pill, considering that he's really heading towards maybe retiring in a couple of years. Man's getting up there. But I think Dak's going to leave. They're not going to want Andy Dalton. Now, they could go and trade for somebody, throw their whole entire draft at getting a quarterback maybe. But I think they really put themselves in a hole with the contract that they gave Zeke. They have Amari there with another big contract when they have CeeDee Lamb. So I think that we could potentially see some moves being made where we see Zeke on another team, see Amari on another team, and then they might even just fucking trade like DeMarcus Lawrence or what's their middle linebacker's name?
Vander Esch?
No, not Jalen Smith.
I'm talking about Jalen Smith. I think they could trade him too. I know they gave him a fat contract. So I think this is I'm not saying they trade all of them. I'm just saying I think those are really big options. They're going to want to open up some salary, and Jerry he could make some big trades to where he wants to, go out with a bang. But I think at the end of the day, if they want to make the smart move, they're going to want to rebuild. After losing Dak, they're not going to be able to recover from that, I don't think.
I'm gonna add on to this with a little. I'm gonna add on to this with a little hot take. Is Jerry Jones a good drafter, bro? He drafted CeeDee Lamb this year. He got Jalen Smith. He got Van Der Esch, Dak, Zeke. All of these guys, like, man has a good track record. That's all I'm saying.
Michael Gallup.
He's not a good. He's not good at hiring staff. I would say that's the biggest thing.
Good point.
So here's my thing with the Cowboys. We're looking at probably a team that's going to be 4-12 or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Would we agree?
Yeah.
That is, I would say this year going to be a top 8 pick. So you're getting one of the first 3 quarterbacks in the draft. Right now, you have Lawrence, obviously, and then Justin Fields, who, I didn't get to talk about at all on this episode, but fantastic this weekend. Super impressed. I think we have 2 generational quarterbacks coming up in this draft. I'm excited to see. But then there's some questions after that, but there's definitely still some good guys available. There's good guys on the market. So I think the Cowboys are 2 pieces away. And I think with them being as bad as they are this year and they're going to have that top 8 pick, they can address the need of quarterback in the draft. And I do think that. And I think the second piece where they are 1 piece away is that coaching staff. And that's really where it's going to boil down to. Can Jerry make the right move? Can Jerry get the right coach in there? That's going to work with that team, because that team is way too fucking good to be as bad as it is. There are 5-6 fucking all-pros on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they haven't signed Earl Thomas yet. What the fuck is going on with that? That dude is still a free agent, which that just makes me think the Ravens shit was really bad. But
he probably doesn't want to go there anymore, seeing how it is.
But then you look at that offense and the offensive line. Yes, they lost. What was it? Frederick that retired this year, or was it the other guy? He retired. But the offensive line is still good. You have 3 of the best receivers, 3 top 20 receivers in the NFL, arguably, if CeeDee Lamb pans out. I wouldn't say he's top 20 yet, but I would say Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper are definitely pushing that top 20 range. And then you have Zeke, who's a top 5 back. They are a quarterback away, and I don't even think they're a good quarterback away. They're a mediocre quarterback away from being at the helm of that division and having no competition, because that division is as bad as it is.
They could be a sneaky Fitz team. A very sneaky Fitz team.
I like that. Hey, they get Fitz. That's their division.
They would do numbers with Fitz at quarterback.
Oh, Fitz
big numbers.
50 a week.
Throw me a first.
Yeah, first. Get out of here.
Throw me a first. You want to win the division? Give me a first.
Jerry would do it, bro. Jerry would do it.
You know what makes me mad though about Jerry and the Cowboys is like you just listed off. They have all of the talent in the world to make it happen. Mm-hmm. Any fucking coach, and I mean any coach, would be happy to be in that position with all that talent.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's Jerry with the mentality, the environment, just everything with the culture. It's not right. And I think he does do that thing where he doesn't want to bring in a high profile coach because he'll lose some of his say in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really probably the biggest thing holding them back.
Ever since Jimmy Johnson, did y'all hear the story of what happened with Jimmy Johnson? How he dissed Jerry at a dinner, and because of that, Jerry just fired him on the spot, even though they had won 2 Super Bowls back to back.
Yeah,
he doesn't fuck with high profile coaches like that anymore because of that, which is such a character flaw. Like, dude, you're holding the whole team back. You just get over it. But
you're drafting well. You're doing your job. Now let somebody else do the job you're hiring them to do.
Stop it, Ethan.
I can't even see what that is.
I can't do it.
It's the Shannon Sharp Cowboys meme where it was like the Drake album reveal.
All right, philanthropist. we were talking about this yesterday, and I don't even think that Young E's gonna really appreciate me bringing this up, but I do gotta ask you, okay?
Okay.
It's really stupid question, but I think it's fucking hilarious to think about.
Okay.
Do you think that you could take on a 3-foot Khabib?
Ooh. does, does so he's
No.
3 feet. He's 3 feet tall.
Yes.
He's still just as strong as he would be at normal
He's
height.
himself, but 3 feet tall.
Same
All the
strength,
limbs just
same
shrink.
skills.
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter then. He could be 2 feet tall. It wouldn't change anything. If he's just as strong, just as skilled, what the hell am I supposed to do, bro? I can't fight a cold.
You think you couldn't take a 2-foot Khabib?
It's all in the technique, bro. It's all in the technique.
No, just throw him, bro.
Bro,
grab
I can't
grab
throw
him
him if
by
I
the
can't get my
leg.
hands on him.
I think 3 foot would be very challenging, but 2, I don't know. I feel like that's too small. Because the thing is you gotta, if we're gonna be realistic about it, he can't weigh the same weight.
But
Right.
he's just as strong, though.
Yeah. So, but he'll be lighter, is what I'm saying. So you could probably give him a good boot, and he'll go up at least like 10 yards.
What was Ethan's original point? What did he say?
I didn't even. Jordan asked this question. This was not my ask.
Okay.
He wouldn't really commit to anything about it. He did. I know he didn't like the question.
See, I'm gonna just be
No.
humble and say hard no.
Yeah, I'm definitely saying no. I'm getting my ass beat. I'm gonna look like
Now-
Gaethje on Saturday.
Now,
How-
who would win, a 30-foot tall Ethan or a 3-foot Khabib?
Okay, 30 foot. That's different.
30
Bro.
You step on him.
What the fuck? It's like
I was
two
imagining
stories.
though, like a 3-foot Khabib would probably be able to still jump like a foot and a half, like in
Yeah.
the air. So I would just imagine I'd be like, squaring up, about to show him what's up, and then he'll jump on my chest, grab my shirt, and he's hitting me with his little fucking fist.
Yeah. And,
in my
those
chin.
punches, the punches hurt just as much as a regular one. Like they're still.
And in a smaller spot too,
Mm-hmm.
not as spread out. That's some
Deadly.
Ant-Man shit.
He's still got that weird like neck beard thing going on, bro. No, I'm not messing with it. I'm not messing with it, bro.
Anybody with that kind of beard, bro, I'm not fucking with them. I don't.
Hell no. Swimming upstream in a river in Russia when it's freezing, he's different.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about somebody who's really built different.
It's a
Whoa.
bad man.
Phil really went.
Khabib.
The champ.
Young E, real quick, what do you think about him retiring?
It's sad. As a mixed martial arts fan, that's sad. Condolences to him and his family for his dad's loss. It was a terrible situation, and I'm proud of him for coming out and still doing the fight and handling it as well as it is. But as a fan of the sport, it is hard to watch the greatest walk away when they still have a lot left in them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to kind of swallow that. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is it's just a reminder that these guys are more than athletes, and they have their own life and, their own goals. And at some point, when he thinks it's time to step away, it's not time to step away, and I got to respect it. And, I'm happy for him, and he's the GOAT.
Ethan, how many times did he have a scheduled Tony Jefferson fight that never came through?
Tony Ferguson?
Or Tony
I
Ferguson,
think
yeah.
4 times they were supposed to fight, and it never happened.
That's just so ass.
I think it would have been a good fight too. I like Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, it probably would have.
But yeah, man, it's sad to see him walk away. He's a fucking. He's not even human, bro. He's a fucking animal. He goes out there and he's really just different. And I thought it was nice to see him be as open with his grief as he has been. Especially with UFC fighters or MMA fighters, any fighters in general, we just think of them as just not really having emotion. They go out there, they talk their shit, and they beat the fuck out of people. So I thought it was nice that he showed that side, and it's good to see just the love of it, man. I think we don't see enough of that brought into the news about just straight up just family love and all that. So yeah, condolences to his family, and it sucks to see him walk away, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And I think it's always good too when you can go out on top. You haven't lost a fight or anything at all, and you maybe even save a couple of years for your life by not taking any more shots to the head.
Definitely.
Is that it, fellas?
Yeah, I guess for Khabib, one thing I'll say is like my fondest memory is the McGregor fight. I remember like going up to it. Obviously, McGregor's a big star. I was at a Irish bar or an Irish pub, and everybody in there was like, "Let me get some proper 12. We're rocking for McGregor tonight." And I just remember thinking like, "Yeah, I'm sure McGregor's the favorite. I don't really know who this Khabib guy is, but he has a good record." Dude, Khabib came in and just whooped his ass. Like it wasn't even close. Like the whole entire time just dominated him. And what I really liked is that he beat McGregor's ass, and then afterwards he wanted to smoke with everybody. The trainer, the family, his mama, it didn't matter. He jumped in the crowd and went for it, bro. That was so funny to me at the time because I remember how much McGregor was talking shit during the lead up to the fight. So I was like, okay, this guy has my respect. He's really about it. They're built different in Russia, that's for sure.
Yeah, that shit was fucking wild.
Mhm.
After that too, I was really thinking about like the Malice in the Palace.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think the UFC might be the worst place for that to ever happen in a situation. Like you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
have that in the UFC,
Bro,
bro.
imagine being in the front row. I'd be so scared. I'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I immediately get on the ground and just like,
Oh, yeah.
Catch a punch.
This ain't Ron Artest, bro. This is different.
Yeah, dead ass. Oh fuck. Yeah, man. Good on Khabib. Congrats to him going on the top. Condolences as well. And that is the Couch Sports Talk podcast. Back again. Hopefully with some
Episode
more
16.
episodes. What?
Episode 16.
Yes, episode 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting juiced.
Yeah.
I'm getting hyped up. Hey, we're about to only have football though.
That's true. We're gonna get in a dry spell soon.
Hey, I've been wanting to do some college football shorts and some fantasy football shorts, so maybe we could spend a little time doing that since we just got football now.
Yeah, let's go for that. I'm down.
A little
All
mock
right,
draft.
boys.
Chris. Yep. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
So-
Have a good night.
Yes, sir. This is the Couch Sports Talk podcast. I am your boy Goozy here with philanthropist and Young E. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please start conversations with us. Please start conversations with us in the comment section down below. That would be fantastic. We want to get into these fan debates. We're all fans here. We all get the same information from sitting on the fucking couch. Have a good fucking night.
Hey, Steelers fans, fuck you.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.